And we are live once again. As always, guys, I am Jumbo Thick, your DM for night, for our next session. This is session 5, I believe, of our Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th edition. This is the Rise of the Forsaken campaign. Let's go ahead and meet our players for tonight. We're a man short, and may be for quite some time. We'll see how this goes. But let's start with Mr. Jumbo Smooth, if you want to introduce your character, maybe a brief description.
Yeah, I'm Jumbo Smooth. I'll be playing Marius Wolf. He is a human prospector. I'm in the peasant class with a career path of miner. I'm 25 years young, yes. 5'8", gray hair.
Oh, yeah.
Blue eyes, you know. Very charming man, if you heard our last episode. Did pretty well. So, yeah. I just want to see what this governor wants to talk to us about.
All right. And Mr. Doobie. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's going on, guys? I'm playing Seamus McGreedy, who is a human tollkeeper in the Ranger class. He is 22 with a height of 6'1", jet black hair, pale gray eyes, and he's pretty good with a crossbow.
That is for sure. We learned that a few episodes back. So, last we left off, Mr. Catch and Mr. Wolf, you guys found yourself outside of the town of Sealburg, the mining town that you guys are all inhabiting at the moment, where a massive beastman warhorde made its presence known and attacked you before attacking the town itself. You outlasted most of the individuals in the caravan that Mr. Catch was in, with the exception of Miss Suna and Miss Abby, the wife of Hugo, the blacksmith in the town, and his supposed daughter. Supposed, at least, is from what you found out from the previous session. Whom then you made it through several ambushes, dodged a few haphazard wolves and whatnot, and found your way to a mystical hut in the woods, where you met Mother Inga the Sightless, who cursed Marius, branded him literally into his flesh, and essentially told you to seek out Thaggi the Unfilled, the leader of the Beastman Warhorde, and take his head as payment. Then you made it from there, and you met up with Mr. Seamus, who Seamus, you woke up, well, not so much woke up, you remember yourself just simply running through the woods on the outskirts of Sealburg, where you came upon Mr. Catch and Marius and their companions in a heated battle with another group of beastmen, which you pretty much saved them from single-handedly, if we're being honest here. I mean, they weren't doing much of anything, defending themselves. With your aid, you managed to save Miss Suna, Miss Abby, and Marius himself from a certain doom. You escaped, made it to the outskirts of Sealburg, where you crossed a dead man's path of bloody body parts and stacks of corpses, where a massive battle had happened on the outskirts of the city. Made it all the way to the wall, where Mr. Catch appeared, and he managed to meet up with you, and you guys all made it into the town of Sealburg just in time for a full-on massive beastmen attack, where a minotaur let his presence be known in ranks upon ranks of beastmen, and Thaggi may have even been made an appearance, though no one actually saw him in the far distance. You survived the attack. They basically ran off, and you made it into the town of Sealburg, where you were doctored back up from taking your previous wounds by Miss Sarah in the House of Sigmar, run by Father Leekter. You had a few choice words with Mr. Old Man Otto, the watchman, the local watchman, kind of the head of the watch, and you were currently going to make your way to the bar after your charming endeavors, Mr. Wolf. When, right before we left off, a Mr. Conrad Krieger, a man working for the governor, a rather chauvinistic man, if I might add, basically called out to you and told you that you needed to follow him, and the governor wanted to see you for some reason. And literally, right before we stopped, Mr. Seamus, you made eye contact with a bandaged figure that appears to have been kind of stalking you around town, heavily bandaged, wearing a large, almost overly large cloak, black and greenish in make, over itself, and looking at you from around the corner of the Church of Sigmar, and you chose to keep walking. And does that sound about right to you guys?
It does.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Question.
Yes.
I have written down Kurt Krieger.
Oh,
Is
shit.
it Conrad or
I said Conrad. It was Kurt. My bad.
Yeah. Kurt. Okay.
Conrad is someone else. Forget you heard that.
Spoilers!
Nah, it's not a spoiler.
Oh, okay.
It's not a spoiler.
All right.
Okay. So, Mr. Kurt Krieger. Sorry, I have too many names. There's so many made-up names. They're everywhere. Anyways. Okay. So, that's where we left off. You guys are currently following Mr. Krieger towards walking across the open space, the kind of circular space that makes up the town center of Sealburg. And Mr. Seamus, you begin to turn your head back around. You've taken note of the character. I'm assuming you said that you were still walking forward, following everyone.
Yes.
Okay. As you turn back around, another figure who calls out to your party, Krieger, and the short little man that you've been following kind of halts and looks over, and you see a rather tall gentleman. He's wearing military garb. He's walking up the stone path. Looks like he came from the gate where you guys were earlier today, before you went and got bandaged up. He's also looks like he's seen some fighting. He's got long blonde hair. Looks like he's got some blue eyes. Everybody apparently has blue eyes around here, either blue or gray. And he's wearing the colors of the Army of Wissenland, of the actual troops. Obviously some kind of soldier, judging from the attire and the kind of leathers and even some chainmail you can see kind of tucked in through the big scrapes and tears through his uniform. He is young, exceptionally young. He probably looks to be maybe 20, but he's carrying himself like a veteran of some kind. He looks very assuredly walking forward. There's a couple other soldiers walking in step behind him that definitely look like they should be his senior, but they're following him for some reason. And you notice as he starts to get closer, Mr. Seamus, go ahead and make a perception check, since this is kind of your forte.
All right. Perception. That's going to be a 30 out of 41.
Okay, good. So you have technically a success. I'll give you one level of success. So you see he also has a nice dagger tucked into his belt, and there actually is a pistol on his hip that you can kind of see as his cloak swings back and forth. And he's closing the distance with you guys. He looks like he's walking with a purpose towards Krieger. And Krieger turns to him, And you also, as he starts to get closer, at this point you guys are within probably conversational range, probably 10 feet or so. You see an insignia on his left kind of lapel, well, not really the lapel, like the clasp of his cloak in front of him. And Mr. Ketch, you can see that it catches his eye. He's standing in front of you. And Seamus, you see the color drain from his face. It looks like he's about to get sick. And he kind of soils up. And he turns to you, Seamus, and says, I'm not feeling so well.
Hi, what's the matter?
And he'll just kind of, I think I might have left something back in the church. And he'll start to make his way off. As he's leaving, Krieger looks back. And where are you going, sir? And he kind of stops for a second. And he doesn't turn around. He just kind of waves off. Now he looks to Marius. Isn't he with you, sir?
I thought so.
He's still currently walking.
He's young. Okay. He's a young man. Catch.
And
where the hell are you going?
At this point, Ketch is in you, especially with you saying his name. He is grabbing hold of the door handle, swinging it open, and he's ducking inside. And at this point,
to the church?
To the church, yes, back into the church.
Okay.
At this point, the soldier makes it up to Krieger and says, Krieger, I have important business with the governor. And Krieger kind of, what is it now? And he just gives him this stare, just like he's burning a hole into his soul. Let's make a roll for Mr. Krieger here. Mr. Krieger holds his ground. Even though he's about a foot shorter than this man, he kind of punches his chest out, looks up at him. His little hooked nose is almost a foot from this man's chin, and he says, I will not be intimidated by the likes of you. And the soldiers behind him kind of start shifting their weight, and it looks like they're kind of preparing themselves for something. And the leader, the man talking, kind of motions back to them. At ease, lads, at ease. Says, I will not be spoken to like this either, Krieger. Take me to the governor at once. And he kind of, at this point, he looks a little out of sorts. What are you guys doing?
Oh gosh, Marius. Marius, I don't know. I think I'd probably be Marius would probably be observing.
Okay.
Maybe took a step back. It's like
okay.
If they're gonna kill this man, I don't know.
And what about you, Mr. Seamus?
Yeah, probably the same thing. This is none of Seamus's business, so he's going to kind of step back a little bit.
You guys start stepping back away, and these two are locked in conversation at this point. And it's starting to get very, very heated. The soldier who now Krieger starts yelling at him, I am sick and tired of all this bullshit. You come in here, you demand my respect, you talk to me like I'm some filthy fucking peasant, and the veins are bulging out of his head. He's like, I don't even think you're a fucking captain, Jaeger. And at this point, the man you now know as Captain Jaeger reaches down to his hip, and he's got the pistol in his hand, and he is about to draw it when the door of the governor's mansion slides open, and a rather tall figure kind of shifts out into the sunlight. And he is not unhealthy, but he's thin, very thin. He's got large bags under his eyes. He has graying hair. He looks to be probably somewhere around Otto's age. He does have looks like a short sword on his hip, as well as a very visible coin purse and numerous finger rings. He has aristocratic attire, very flashy, kind of poofy clothing on. And he also has a perpetually upturned nose. And he just looks exhausted at this point. He looks very, very tired. And he calls out, "Herr Krieger, that will be enough, sir." And the short little man kind of, "As you wish, Governor." And this is Governor Archibald Fries. And he looks to the Captain Yeager, says, "Captain Yeager, I will see you." And then he looks over at the two of you that have kind of starting to step away from Krieger. And he says, he calls out to Krieger and says, "I can see them in the morning." And he just, without waiting for response, steps back into his mansion. And the captain body checks Krieger as he's walking past, as do the men. And he kind of bounces back, and not used to actually being in a physical altercation. He kind of slips, kind of almost falls on his ass. And he looks around to see if anybody was looking. Were you two looking?
Yeah.
I kind of take my gaze and kind of look up at the sky real quick when he looks up at me like, oh.
Seamus boldly looks, and he just kind of locks eyes with Seamus. He's still red-faced, and he's kind of pouting at this point. "I expect nothing less from filth of your sorts. You're not worth the governor's time at the moment." And then he just storms off. He storms off back into the mansion, well behind the soldiers that have buffeted him this fine afternoon, and the door just slams shut. What are you guys doing now?
I probably look at Seamus and be like, "That was some type of show, huh?"
Hey. Pick on that little man there.
I know. So much anger. Maybe we should continue with our original plan and go grab a drink.
I should write you as a nice ale.
Oh yeah. And we start heading towards Thaggi.
Okay. I'm assuming no one is going to go for Mr. Catch.
Oh yeah. I was kind of gonna leave it. Never mind. Let's. I
don't know, mate. He looks pretty sick. Might be shitting his brains out.
Oh, I don't care for the shits. We'll check on him later. Well, let's go tie one on.
Okay.
Now you're talking.
All right. And the funny thing, who's leading?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've been here before.
Seamus, you also know where this bar is. This has been a staple in town for a long time. As long as you can remember. As long as your father can remember, this tavern has existed. So you start walking. Basically, you have to come back towards the town square where you entered onto the main cobblestone road. you go back towards there, and then you make a sharp left turn away from the Church of Sigmar, and you start going into almost like a side street. Not that there are many streets in Sealburg. There's not many dedicated thoroughfares outside of the main entrance and exit. It's just not that large of a town. And you go a few houses down, maybe the equivalent of like half a block, and there is a very sturdy but functional building. It also is completely made of stone, which it's the only stone building that isn't in the main square of Sealburg, in the main town center. It is very, I wouldn't say worn, but it just looks old. It looks like an original piece. It doesn't look like it was built up by the hands of men at some point. So you look up, and there is a wooden sign dangling above the door it's an emblem of a rat's head, a large rat's head with a pick jammed through the top of it, and it's all in silver coloring. Neither of you can read and write, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I thought so. So, in the person who owns this bar realizes that most of the manlings cannot either read or write, and so usually just pictures do the talking. There's also like a jug of ale, like kind of embolized behind it, so you get the idea that this is the Silver Thaggi, as it has been known for quite a long time. So it's also adjacent to the barracks. The barracks happen to be on the other side of it. So it's easy access for the miners to come in and out. It's the only place to get a decent drink in town. The door is very sturdy, but plain lacquered wood with a fine silver trim. You can see there's a very silver-themed motif about the place. Are you guys stepping inside?
Yes.
Okay, who's opening the door?
I don't care.
I'll open it then.
Okay. Marius just kind of motions for you, Mr. Seamus. You pull the door open, you begin to step through, and immediately you're hit with the smell of cooking meat. There appears to be some kind of cheese scent to go with it, and of course, the smell of cheap alcohol and possibly body odor in the various states of all of the current patrons that exist in this tavern. As you step through, and Mr. Marius behind you, you hear a burly voice just kind of yell at you from the bar off to your right. Only paying customers step through those doors, or by Grimnir, you will... And Seamus, as you walk through, and he's made eye contact with you. Then he sees Marius behind you. Oh, Marius, you filthy bastard! Did not even recognize you. Thought you were beast food in those blasted woods. Well, what can I get you? And he's real friendly now that he sees you. Now you are currently looking at Mr. Thordoon Amberbelly. He is the owner of the Silver Thaggi. He also fancies himself the barman. He is who knows how old. He has been a staple in town for as long as any of the men can remember. He has blue eyes, almost a golden type of hair. It's got a very unique color. You might get the idea that's where he gets his name from. He has a large pot belly for a dwarf. And he's actually rather tall for a dwarf. He's about 5 feet tall. So you're not actually much more taller than him, Marius. He's actually a pretty good dwarf, very stout. He uses a big stool. He's actually at the height of a normal human. But Marius, you know that he actually stands on a stool behind the bar. He has a very red, nice, almost flamboyant kind of clothing that he wears. He also has a very bad limp as he steps down from the stool and goes to walk out and actually greet you. There are, it looks like slashes that have scarred over across his face. And he does have a very, very large silver ring with some kind of red jewel encrusted around it. And his shirt is open, and you see a necklace dangling, and it looks like some kind of dwarven rune dangling from it, also embolized in silver. And he's kind of hobbling towards you, Marius. Has his hand out. Ah, Manling, it's good to see you.
DM question. Sorry.
Yes.
I didn't. What was his last name? I didn't quite catch it. Something Belly. What was it?
Thordoom Amber Belly.
Amber Belly. Okay.
Amber Belly.
Amber Belly. All right. So he's reaching out his hand and calling him a man. Like,
his meaty,
okay.
thick hand. I mean, he's a dwarf. He's very stout, even for one as short as himself, and it is rotund.
Am I on a first name basis with him, or
you definitely would be?
Okay, I didn't know. Okay, so I reach out my hand as well, and then Thordoon, I can't wait to have some of your ale.
And he kind of grasps it like Beastmaster style up around the elbow, and he squeezes.
Oh yeah,
You gonna squeeze back?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna squeeze back.
You want to make a strength check?
Yeah, it's good.
Yes. Let's do this. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. Let me roll here. Straight roll.
Straight roll. Straight roll.
Straight roll. That is oh shit, that's bad. That's a 59 out of 44.
Okay. Thordoon grabs you and he squeezes, and his fingers start to dig into your flesh, and you're kind of and he's like, "You've gone soft, Manling. You've gone soft, playing around with those filthy beasts. Aye, the Dawi would have already rid these mountains of them long ago. Well," and he slaps you across the back. It's hard as hell. I mean, it almost opens up some of the wounds on your shoulder. And he's like, "Well, what can I get you, boy? Sarah's not here at the moment. She's down at she's been, in the Manling God place. What do you guys call it? Sigmar. That's what it was. Sigmar.
Sigmar.
Yeah. And he's
Thornton. Give me an ale. And, what do you think of my trophy? And I pull out that Beastman head from the back.
Marius! Impressive, boy. Impressive. Rather large, but I think mine's bigger. And he kind of thumbs up. He thumbs behind the bar. And there is this massive... I mean, it's huge. There's a gargantuan head mounted above the bar. And it is a giant... It looks like a rat. It can't possibly be a rat. It's huge. And it is encrusted with, it looks like silver all across it. And there's a massive hole in the top of its head where it looks like some kind of pick-like entity was driven through it. But the head is easily the size of, a horse's.
Wow. All right.
Everyone in town assumes it's a beastman's head, but Thordoom claims otherwise.
Yeah.
Aye, laddie. When you get one that big, then you can show your junk off. And he kind of just slaps you, and he starts hobbling with his limp back around the counter.
Could you get one for my friend Seamus here as well?
Seamus, you said, and he gets back up on the stool, and he starts pouring. He starts pouring beers, and he looks back around, and he looks at you, Seamus, for a second. He kind of starts caressing his beard, which I forgot to. His beard is actually the same color. It's that yellow color. And it is very intricately braided down to almost his belly button. Maybe a little bit further. Not quite long enough to be tucked into his belt. But it's getting there. It's getting very, very long. And there are, of course, silver rings kind of decorated throughout it. He looks like it's very well manicured at that. and he starts stroking his beard as he looks at you. He said, "You wouldn't be a MacLeod boy, would you?"
Aye, that I am.
Ah! Come in, son. Come in. Come have a seat.
All right, mate.
Yeah, I'm assuming you go up to the bar, I guess, have a seat with Marius.
Yeah, I say we'll walk up to the bar and take a seat.
As you're walking up to the bar, there's no one else at the bar currently. Elsewhere in the pub, it's a pretty decent sized pub. This is there's a couple booths. Then there are a number of tables, of course, and Marius, there's actually a room in the back, further past this, and back there is where people will often do their late night gambling and any other meetings that they might want to conduct. There are a set of stairs close to that room that lead up to the second floor, which is where the rooms are located. This also serves as an inn for travelers and for anyone that just can afford a room, essentially. And as he's pouring the beers, there are a handful of patrons, usually at the tables. Looks like 2 or 3 guys at a booth towards the back, kind of sullenly drinking. Nobody seems like they are as energetic as Thordoom. Everybody's really melancholy, kind of head downcast. Looks like most of them are beaten. They're bandaged, kind of like you guys. You guys look like shit. They look just as bad. And they're all just quietly drinking to themselves. A couple mumbled whispers here and there. It looks like a group of the soldiers that you guys have seen in the infirmary. There's 2 or 3 of them at a table close to the bar, close enough for you to hear what they're saying. But right now it's mostly intelligible. They're just kind of talking back to each other, back and forth. And Thordoom puts the ales on the counter, slams them down, and he looks at you, MacLeod, and says, "Hi, boy. You still serving your ancestors?"
Oh, could you repeat that? You broke up.
Damn it. Okay. I knew this was going to be a problem. Okay. He slams the ales down, and he looks at you and says, and you specifically, Seamus. He's like, "Hi, boy. You still serving your ancestors?"
I can't really recall too much of this past week or month. I don't really know what's going on, but everybody here seems to know me.
Week, months. You manlings are hilarious. How fickle your time is. And he starts kind of stroking his beard once again. He's eyeballing both of you. Marius, you by chance have any coin for these ales?
I do. How much is the ale?
And from experience.
That's a DM question. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. From experience, Thordoom prides himself on his ales, and it usually goes for 3 copper an ale.
Oh, that's pretty pricey, I feel like. But I guess I throw down 6 copper, 6 brass.
6 brass? Yeah, 6 brass.
6 brass, and I throw it down.
Okay.
I'll subtract it from my whole 16 brass.
Yes, yes. I'm loving this already. So you throw down the 6 brass. He looks at you, says, "Boy, for you, that'll do." And when
Thanks,
when he does this, one of the soldiers looks over, says, "Oi, dwarf!" And Thordoom just kind of peeks over at him. "What the shite is this? You charge him 6? You charge us double." and they stand up. They start standing up, and they're clutching at the. They're starting to clutch at the swords on their waists. And Thordoom doesn't even look scared at all. But you are in between these people and him. Yeah. What would you guys like to do right now?
I turn around and be like, whoa, fellas. Oh, sorry. Whoa, fellas, whoa. Yeah, there's no need for anger. Thordoom's a good, honest wolf.
More like a greedy bastard he is. And Thordoom now,
I want to turn towards Thordoom real quick and be like, now, Thordoom, please don't do anything rash.
And he puts his big meaty hand up to you and says, Marius,
okay.
You need not bother yourself with trivial matters. These manling scum want to fight. They'll get one.
No. Oh, God. Oh, no.
Seamus, are you doing anything?
I will have some money on me. Quite a bit of money, I believe. So I will...
oh, shit.
Pull some coppers out of my pouch and tell the soldiers, I want you to sit the fuck back down. I pay for your share, and I'll slam some coppers on the bar.
They look at you. Do you want to make a charm roll?
Fuck yeah.
I will give it a shot. I don't have any stats for that.
Okay, just make for you. It'll just be fellowship. Then just make a fellowship roll. This will be just a straight roll.
Can I give him any kind of help on it? You know,
you can say something, and if depending on what you say, he'll get a +10.
Okay. Free drinks, fellas. Who could turn that down, huh?
No. I'll barely give you a +10 on that. That's fine though. So go ahead and roll your charm with +10.
Oh, I did exactly a 41.
Is that what you needed?
That's what I needed. My fellowship's a 31.
Okay. So the soldiers kind of look at you. How much you got there, boy?
I'm gonna pay for you.
And Thordoom now goes, Seamus, you need not pay for these fools. And he reaches under the counter. And as he does, which direction are you guys looking? Are you looking at the soldiers or are you looking at Thordoom?
I'm looking at the soldiers.
Okay. What about you, Marius?
Yeah, I figure I kind of angled like sideways to kind of like look at both a little bit on the side of my eyes, not fully painted to eat any.
You guys hear a shifting behind the counter, and then suddenly sprouting from between the two of you is a cylindrical barrel. It's massive, and it pushes past you at least another foot. And it's just big round at the end of it, and it looks like it tapers to what you would think would be the end of some kind of gun. And he points it in the direction of the soldiers, and you could just see their eyes just widen, and they're like, no problems, Master Dwarf, no problems. And you hear it as he cocks back something back there. Get the fuck out of me, tavern! And they're kind of stumbling, and they knock over the table, and they're bolting for the door, and they're gone. Shit's laying all over the ground.
Did they knock over their drinks?
Oh yeah, all their shit's on the floor, all of it.
Okay.
And Thordoom's like, manlings. Weak stomachs they have.
A DM question: was it a blunderbuss? Was it
it was a blunderbuss.
Shotgun? Or?
It's a massive blunderbuss.
Okay. Oh, gee.
I want to turn to Thordoon and ask him, what can I get me one of those?
And Thordoon puts it back under the counter where he stores it. You can see he gingerly uncocks it very carefully. And for a man his size, it looks like he has a very dexterous touch. And he kind of uncocks it. And he's, "Hi, manling. I doubt you'll ever find something of this sort. You can only get these from two Dawi, and unfortunately, unlike many of my brethren, no time is wasted on mere manlings."
Oh,
Oh, I'm a little hurt.
I'm taking a big swig of the ale and just savoring it.
Okay.
It's been a while. It's been a while since I had a drink,
And here's the funny thing about it. You take a sip of this ale, and it tastes fucking terrible. It tastes like it's watered down. Nothing like the ale you remember from the last time you were here.
Oh shit!
You take a sip of it, and you're just kind of like, what, do you grimace or anything?
Oh, gosh. Do I know much about Thordune's personality? Like, as a person, like.
Well, he is a dwarf. He is a dwarf, so he's a little.
That's what I'm trying to say.
The dwarves are always a little mysterious in the eyes of your average person, but you've been around him enough. You patron this bar often to know that he is a very explosive temper, and he may as well could have shot those soldiers if it escalated any more than it had.
I probably look at him. Does he looking at me like expecting a reaction?
Right now, he's actually he's got the gun under the he's finished stowing it away in whatever cubby hole he's made for it under the bar, and he grabs another glass and he's shining the glass behind the bar. He's not really paying much attention to you guys.
Is it terrible? Like, do I hate this? Like, is it bad tasting?
It tastes watered down. It doesn't taste good. And Thordune has been known for his like really good quality ale.
Okay, so God help me. I'm gonna kind of put down the glass. Thordune.
Hi, manling. Ale not to your liking, son.
I'm not saying that. It just tastes a little, not quite as flavorful as I remember.
You're taking the piss, boy.
Tastes any different?
You take me for a wazzock. He slams his hand on the bar.
I look at him and I go, so I don't know what that means. But
Grimnir's balls, you manlings are bold today.
I don't know what that is, but it just...
You insult the dwarf's ale. You insult his honor?
No. Sigma, no.
And he gives a big grin.
I'm going to finish this beer then.
Are you going to chug it?
I'm going to chug it. I'm going to pound it.
I need you to make a consume alcohol test. It'll be plus 20.
Oh, plus 20. All right, let me see here. What's my consume alcohol? All right, let's see here. With a plus 20, it would be 57. I rolled a 46.
Okay, so you down it, and you wipe the froth off your mouth. He gives you a big smile, a big grin. Hi, boy. I was just fucking with you a bit. You pitiful manlings have yet to secure my good sources of brewing currently. This long-lasting stalemate of this pathetic beast rabble that you have surrounding the city have prevented my goods from coming from the distant towns. Unfortunately, my Dawi caravans refuse to visit this godforsaken patch of mountain, but the local humans do. The as low quality as they are, it'll suffice for you manlings. But as of late, I've been resorted to ulterior means.
Do I remember that he had a crate? Did he have a crate on the?
There was a
caravan,
crate
or
listed for the Thaggi.
Yeah. Sorry to tell you the story, but I'm not sure when it was. Apparently some time's passed since I ventured out, but it looks like some type of someone had stolen your supplies from a caravan that had a friend of mine and Miss Suda on it.
Stolen. And he crushes the glass in his hand. It just shatters.
It looked like some kind of large rat footprints. I assume some type of beastman.
Fucking Thaggaraki bastards! Steal my ale!
I said, I spent a night at a witch's house. Came out, it was morning. We went back to the caravan, and it had been looted. One of your, I assume it was yours. It said, I can't read, so I guess it had a picture on it.
It would have had the emblem on it.
Okay, it had your emblem on there. And there was these large footprints.
Skaven fucks. Oh. They'll rue the day they cross Thordoom. Amber Belly, on my oath, on my pride as a Dawi, they will suffer. and he grabs a hold of the blunderbuss, and he's like clutching it real tight at this point. He's not pointed at you guys, he's just kind of pointed at the ceiling. All the other patrons are kind of like, they're like, oh shit, and they're kind of starting to duck down a little bit. And at this point, Seamus, you look up and you notice there's several holes in the roof above him. Looks like whoever's room is up there has gotten some redecorations a few times throughout the time span of this pub. But he's kind of just like shaking. He's turned fucking bright red, and he's just sitting there. He's like, oh, and he's fucking about to rage out, and then there's the door opens to the from outside of the pub. And do you guys look, or?
Aye.
Well,
Okay. You guys glance over, and you see Sarah push her way into the Thaggi. She looks a little haggard. Looks like she's finished up with what round she could have made at the makeshift hospital at the church. And she just glances over. Thordoom, what are you doing? And he just kind of softens a little bit. You see the strain in his neck kind of loosen. He goes, and he slips the blunderbuss back under, trying to like hide it almost. Kind of slips it back behind him and underneath the bar. Just some funs and games, Sarah. Isn't that right, Marius? And he slaps you across the fucking back again, and it hurts. It's bad. It hurts bad.
He's just showing me his blunderbuss. That's what men do. Show each other their blunderbuss.
And she's, men and your tools. And she walks past. She starts walking past you, and she walks into past both of you. Kind of gives you a little curt nod, Marius, as she walks by, and walks into the back where you know that some of the serving, like kitchen kind of style equipment is. And Thordoom looks back at you. And you can see he's visibly calm now. And thank you, Mr. Wolf. I should not lose my temper around a lady, you know.
Of course, Thordoom. Anytime.
Mr. McCready, your coin is no
Hi.
good here, sir. And he pushes your coins back to you. He's keeping Marius's coins. They're already in his pocket. But he pushes your coins back to you. And he pours 2 more ales, slaps them down on the bar, says, "On the house, boys, on the house."
Oh, yeah. I say, oh, thank you, Amber Belly. And I kind of grimace and drink some more of his mediocre beer.
Got it. Are you gonna chug it?
Ooh.
Hell yeah. It's
Let's,
an impressive
let's
fourth.
chug it. Let's chug
All right,
it, bro.
chug it. Are you chugging too, Seamus?
I will chug it.
Okay. Have you finished your first one?
First one done.
Okay, good. All right. You guys chug the
I'll
second one.
sip on
I
the
need
first
both
one.
of you to make a consume alcohol test for me. This time
Right.
at plus 10.
A plus 10.
Plus 10.
I have a 47 for consume alcohol with the plus 10, and I rolled a 36, so I got 1 degree
Okay.
success.
What about you, Seamus?
I got 2 degrees of failure. I'm probably pissed.
Yes. So, Seamus, you down the last drop. Marius, you down it and you kind of grimace. It's foul. Seamus, this isn't too bad to you. You don't have much to compare it to. You haven't done a shitload of drinking, at least in this fine establishment. You remember coming here as a boy, perhaps once or twice, but your father never indulged you with the drink of town. So you down the last drop, and you feel a warmth start to spread across your chest into your cheeks. And your vision starts to kind of, you start to see little speckles. But you're still on the stool. You haven't fallen off it, but you are feeling a little woozy. Now, go ahead, guys. What are you doing now?
Oh,
Do I see this? Do I see him kind of wobbling there?
Oh yeah. Oh, you definitely see it.
Are his cheeks flushed?
Yes, they are very much.
Has it been a while, Seamus, since you've had a nice brew, huh?
it quite has. This stuff's tasting better every time I drink it.
So Seamus, I know you said you're having some problems remembering certain things, but is there anything you can tell me about your life here? You said your family was toll keepers?
Yeah, we were toll keepers. Am I getting drunk or am I just buzzed?
You're currently buzzed. You're not toasted yet.
Okay. What I can remember, we were just toll keepers. My dad, it's family business.
I couldn't help but overhear your young brother had passed. I apologize. I'm sorry.
All right, I forgot about that. Guess I have to see if they have his body somewhere. Maybe I can visit it. I gotta find my mom.
Team question: Would
Yes.
they have his body somewhere?
All that Father Lechter said was that he was gracing the gardens of Moor. He did say he would show you. Mm-hmm. So you get the idea that he's accessible somewhere in town.
Okay.
But he did not say exactly where.
Seamus is gonna put his hand up, kind of like a gesture to pour him another one.
Okay. Thordoom will graciously he pipes up. He's scooped up the glass that he shattered, and he's kind of like trying to stuff it next to his blunderbuss, hopefully so Sarah doesn't see it. He's like carefully putting it in there, and he sees you. Madeline, and he kind of another, and he pours another from the big keg tapped behind him. Slams it down in front of you, Seamus. Master Wolf.
Get
do
him,
you actually have anything to eat?
get him another one. No one
Another
likes
one?
to drink alone.
Yeah, of
Not another
course.
one.
Come on. Don't be a pansy. And he pours another one, slams it down in front of you.
All right.
He said, food? A good dwarf survives on
Food.
beer alone.
Well, yeah, as you've mentioned multiple times, I'm no dwarf, sir. Would you please give me some food?
How much coin you got, Marius?
I've got 10 brass.
By the gods, Marius. When are you going to
I've
find a
got this
proper
head.
job? Stop piddling around in that bloody stream. Get a good job at the mine.
I've been trying, but Brandyfoot doesn't seem to want to hire me.
What
Is
would
it
that
Brandyfoot?
fucking halfling know about mining? He
He's
wouldn't
the boss,
know
I don't know.
he wouldn't know a fucking rock from a flake of silver. Bloody fool. No. If this mine knows what was good for him, they'd hire a good dwarf. I know a few. He's gonna start rattling on about this.
Just be like,
Marius, you've
might-
seen
I
this where this rabbit hole's going. It's starting to get into like paranoia
Politics.
level. Yes.
oh, okay. I'm gonna call for Sarah. Sarah, my love.
Sarah, and at this point, seeing that Seamus, are you still listening to Thordoom?
I am. I'm probably halfway through my beer, and I'm going to try and push
Okay.
Thordoom to keep going on his tangent.
Okay, and he's gonna shift his attention to you, and he's still he's really getting going now. His blood is starting to boil up into his neck again. The veins are starting to kind of, and then as you do, Marius, you're probably gonna have to shout for Sarah to get over how loud he is, but you do so. And she comes out of the kitchen, and as soon as she enters the room, Thordoom kind of calms down a little bit and visibly forces himself to kind of relax. And she has a plate in front of her. She's got a large pitcher of something, and then she has, it looks like bread and cheese. And she comes walking over to you. Yes, Mr. Wolf. And she's got like a kind of a coy smile about her.
Yeah. I look at her. My dear, is there any way a man around here could get some grub?
And she looks over to Thordoom. Thordoom, have you been giving Mr. Wolf a hard time? And he kind of just gets a big smile. He goes, you know me too well, Sarah. And he says, give the manling the Elgi food. The breads and cheese. None of the good shit, though. None of the good shit. That costs money. Only for paying customers. And she'll just she'll kind of curtly nod, and she hands you, it looks like it doesn't look very fresh. But there's some bread and there's some cheese. It's got a little bit of mold on it, just a little bit. And she hands you those on
take that part off.
Yeah, you just take that part off. Well, she hands them to you.
Yeah.
And you, sir, Mr. Seamus.
I'll take the good stuff. I got money. To spend.
And Thordoom at this is like, that's my boy. That's a MacLeod if I've ever met one. And by the gods, I've probably met all of your ancestors. And he slaps you on the back, Seamus, and it hurts. It hurts bad. He doesn't realize how strong he is. And Sarah, and he starts kind of motioning to her. And she goes, "Calm down, Thordoom, calm down." And she walks past the other customers who at this point are like, what the fuck, man? Where's my cheese? Where's my bread? And she just walks past them, walks back into the back. And she's back there for a couple minutes, and then she comes out, and she's got a rack of some kind of ribs, meat. It smells phenomenal. It smells so good. You guys haven't had a proper meal in at least a day. Maybe longer for you, Seamus. You don't really know, but you're starving. Marius, it smells delicious. You're sitting there nibbling on your little cheese and your piece of bread, and she places the plate in front of you, Seamus, on the bar, and then she looks at Thordum. Be easy on him, Thordum, and she goes to move to see to the needs of the other patrons. Thordum looks at you. 5 copper, boy, 5 copper.
Here you go. Slaps him on the bar.
He'll take the brass, and he scoops it up, puts it in his pocket. Have at it, son.
All right, I'm gonna start eating this, and then occasionally talk to Thordum about halflings and underfoot.
Okay, there is no silverware. There's no silverware. So you're eating this with your hands.
It was ribs, right?
It were ribs, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
They're not like this isn't like barbecue, but it is good. It's high quality meat. You're not sure what the hell it is. You haven't seen any cows, and you know from experience from your living near town your entire life that back when you used to visit here, you'd never heard of anybody being served meat whatsoever. But it does taste good. It is fantastic. So you're eating it, and you're engaging Thordum, and he's like, halfling wouldn't know his ass. He wouldn't know his ass from the fucking pick that he has over his shoulder. And he's going on and on. He's starting to get more riled up again. And Sarah's occasionally glancing over at him, and he kind of calms down for a second. And as soon as she turns away, he starts back up. And at this point, Mr. Wolf, what are you doing?
I'm nibbling on my cheese. And
like a small rat?
Small rodents. It still probably tastes pretty good. It's been a while. It's been a day.
It has.
It has. So, I'm probably swigging my ale,
Okay.
Here,
okay.
there.
I'll say that you guys, throughout the rest of this evening, you easily can finish your meal. You could have some more drinks if you'd like. You could engage the other patrons. It's up to you guys what you want to do. Or you could always, of course, attempt to go to bed.
Yeah. I was going to kind of lean over to Thordun and be like, Thordun, what's with all these whistling soldiers here? Doesn't seem normal.
Hi, Manling. They came into town a few weeks back. Just showed up, beat the shit. Kind of like all you Manlings are right now. That's about all I care to find from them. They have good coin, though.
I told you, these beastmen attacks, how frequent have they been?
I refuse to leave my my humble establishment out of fear of you. I'm not going to say filthy manlings, but hopefully no offense taken. And he kind of,
unwashed.
Unwashed. There we go. And I value my wares too much, but from the occasional visit, especially from Otto, they've been happening at least once, twice a week, maybe more frequent. I hear the drums occasionally, even here towards the middle of town, but they have yet to breach the walls. The walls are sturdy enough. No dwarf walls, but sturdy enough. They should hold.
I thought the gate looked like it's about to give.
well, if they would have consulted me in the matter, and he starts going into how no one consults the dwarf about engineering. He is a technical marvel.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's going to start setting into that. So, yes, as he's tapering off, Sarah starts to walk up, and he tapers off, and he's kind of relaxing again. Sarah comes up to you and says, "Well, Marius, they've been sieging the town for quite some time now. We are running low on supplies, if you have not noticed from the quality of our ale that Master Amberbelly has been able to produce." And he kind of gives her a look, and he almost likes he wants to say something, but he's holding it back. Kind of biting his lip a little bit. He's like, And so the food and beer has not been of the same caliber as it once was. We heard that Brandyfoot sent for a doctor, but as it's making the rounds around the town now, apparently he was in your party?
Oh, he's dead.
Oh. Well, with him gone, I fear that this can only get worse. Father Lichter is no healer, and my skills are meager at best. We've lost many men. Go ahead.
I was just kind of, I didn't know if I could I don't want to rehash the entire story. I was wondering if I had a chance to talk to her about what has happened the past day or so.
You could just say that you kind of talked to her about all that. Now she is still working. So she'll stop in and out for conversation and kind of one moment and go over and talk to the soldiers and a couple of the other patrons. And as the night goes on, there's more people starting to funnel in. Looks like they're making rounds. The soldiers that were there when you first entered get up, they leave, and it looks like people are coming in and out of here as some kind of watch has been established around the clock. So people are working in shifts.
Okay.
But throughout the night, you can tell her the whole story so she can get the gist of it. And Thordoom is also, he's steadily, at this point, he's steadily supplying you guys with less and less ale-filled mugs. But he's still giving them to you without making you pay. But by the end of it, it's like maybe a mouthful. He's just sitting in front of you. But you can easily tell her what you wanted to get across.
Okay. That I told her about the witch and the brands and.
Yes. Now, once you get to the point of talking about the branding, she's going to put a finger over your mouth before you can finish saying it. Say, Wolf. She's like, Marius, not here. And basically, listen to the rest of your story, but she doesn't want you talking about anything the witch did to you right now.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess we just finished that story, and I probably try to excuse myself for a second and try to go find a barrel to wash off in.
You guys are pretty gross. And Thordoom, as the night's going on, he's like, by gods, man, both of you need a fucking bath. And he'll he motions to essentially there's a door in the back that leads outside to what would be an outhouse, but from experience, Marius, that as soon as you get outside of the door, Thordoom has large barrels set out there, just full of water to dunk drunk people in. But you can use it to get a quick wash if you'd like. But you also know that there are bathing services available to you from the Silver Thaggi if you would so choose.
I'm too poor. I'm going to the barrels.
Okay. So he goes towards the barrel. Seamus, are you joining? Are you still drinking?
I will take part in a bathing service.
A bathing service?
Oh.
Ooh, okay. All right.
Red Dead
this
style.
is what I like to hear. Okay, so you look up the Thordoom, and how do you put this?
I'm not gonna go out back and wash my face. You got anything better than that in here?
Aye, a proper washing, son?
That's what I'm talking about.
For you, Seamus, for you, 10 copper.
10 copper
I
done.
peek my head out.
Here you go.
I peek my head out the side of the door and go, "That's bullshit, Thordoon." And I kind of peek my head back.
He's like, he looks over. Did you say something, Manling? And from experience, his hearing is fucking impeccable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I go, nope, and just kind of go back to back outside washing myself.
Okay. He'll collect the 10 copper. And he says, upstairs, first room on your left. And this is the same room that, well, go ahead. Do you just walk up there immediately, or what are you going to do?
Yeah, I'll walk up there immediately.
Okay. As he does, he motions over. He says, Sarah, bath upstairs. He's like, oh, can't Helga do it? And he looks over, and Helga is currently kind of leaned against the one of the soldiers in a nearby booth. She's kind of leaning on him, almost sitting on his lap a little bit. Her tray is down at the wayside. Marius, you know that she also is one of the barmaids here. And she has dark brown hair. It's braided, 2 braids down her back. She's about maybe 5 feet tall, so Thordoom's actually and her are about the same height. And she is very large for a human. She's very rotund woman.
Oh.
Very beefy. Yeah. Anyways, her corset is like cinched extra tight. So there's like rolls coming up over the top and underneath. The soldiers look like they don't give a shit. They've been drinking for so long, and throughout the times they're flirting with her. And Thordoom looks at Helga. Helga, get your ass up off that motherfucker. Go upstairs. And she kind of perks up, and she clutches her tray, and with her head down, she immediately goes up the stairs after you. As you enter, you go up the stairs, and the stairs are pretty well made. The upper floor is just as nice as the bottom floor. You get that this has been around for a long time, but repairs have been made, and it's very meticulously kept in working order. You make your way up to the stairs. You take your first left. You enter the room, and there is a beautiful, like, clawfoot tub. You have never seen a bathtub like this before. You've seen like a pail, like almost like a wooden kind of contraption that your father had made back at home, but this is far beyond your dreams. It's made of some kind of white material that we, as not people in medieval times, know as porcelain, and it's very intricately made. The claws on it, and it looks like it has a spigot up above it that runs to a pipe that runs downstairs somehow. You're not sure how all these contraptions work, but you get the idea that water comes out of that thing. And Helga comes in behind you. Undress, sir.
All right.
And she starts pouring the bath. And she's looking. She's full on looking, and she's kind of giving you a little once over. I mean, you're tall. You're a tall new man in town, and yeah. She pours the she pours the bath Do you immediately just get in, or how is this going to go?
I want to wait for the water to fill up a little bit, so it gets windy warm.
Okay. She gets it in. She's testing it with her fingers. Just right, sir. Just right.
All right, if you say so. I'll get in.
You get in the tub, and she starts vigorously scrubbing you. She is actually cleaning you, getting all of the grime and filth out of your hair, off of your skin. She takes gingerly care around the wound in your back. Doesn't reopen it or anything like that. She's experienced at bathing many men, apparently. So she starts scrubbing you down, blah, 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 blah. If you'd like, you can ask her questions. You can do whatever you want, or we can just flash past this scene.
We can flash past it. I got some questions for the dwarf.
Okay. So we'll say that for brevity's sake, you get cleaned. She attempts to make a few moves on you. Do you reciprocate or
denied? I'll deny her moves.
Okay, the hand gets a little close to the inner thigh, a little high up. You kind of just push it away a few times.
Kind of jump out. Ooh.
You're like, oh. She's like, oh, so touchy. And you get cleaned. You get cleaned. And she just stands there after you're finished and just watches you dress. She just watches you dress the entire time. It's rather uncomfortable.
It is.
Yeah. You get all your clothes on. You push past her to leave, and she kind of puts an arm out and like caresses your thighs. You walk past her. And as you're moving past, she goes, "If you'd like, you can accompany me later for a more private encounter."
I'll keep that in mind.
And she kind of she doesn't shut the door, but she goes to start emptying the bath water, which goes down another tube into the floor. And this like contraption is beyond, it's the most technical thing you've ever seen. It's a technical marvel. We'll just put it that. So you're cleaned. Marius has been done for quite some time. He's back at the bar, kind of, I'm assuming sulking, drinking his like mouthful of beer that Thordoom keeps putting in front of him, hoping he'll stop. You get back down to the bar.
Cold out there.
How was your face wash?
Oh, it was great. How was your luxurious bath?
It's pretty nice, mate.
It must be great. 10. And then I gotta drink more of my drink.
If you can afford it, you should take one.
Oh, yeah. Next time. I just drink more of my ale.
Okay. All right. So, with that, is there anything else you guys like to do for the night before we start trying to figure out who's doing what?
No, I don't. Not for me, at least. I don't know about.
Okay.
What time of night is this?
It's getting very late. You've been in here for a while. It's definitely dark outside, and you can see that what would be the night shift crews have already gone out and they're starting to man the wall. And you are getting the people that were on duty in the afternoon, but it looks like they're gearing up and getting ready to go to bed. And pretty soon this tavern is going to be relatively empty.
Is Thornton still around?
Oh yeah, Thordoom's here. He's always here. It doesn't make any sense. It's almost like the man never sleeps. Or Dowie, I guess.
I want to ask him about the governor. So, I told him tomorrow we're supposed to meet the governor. What do you know about him?
Herr Fries. company man he is. Governor, I don't know if I'd say that. He came around a few years back, shortly after you left, and as a matter of fact, you and your pa. Where is your pa, by the way?
Hoping you could tell me. I was speaking to Otto. He said we joined some type of witch hunter. I don't remember too much.
I don't pay attention to much of your manly Templar orders, but he was a shifty-looking one if I've ever seen. Claimed to be sanctioned by your man god of some kind. That's all I know of him. But Herr Freeze, on the other hand, he's an interesting character. Honest, never visits my fine establishment, prefers to procure his wares from that bastard Gold. Cursed be his name. And he will start ranting on Mr. Gold and how he has done nothing but bring this great town to ruins. He is the bane of his existence. His air quality is shit. And he serves nothing but that fancy Bretonian wine. And he's going to start just ranting about that.
Well, if he's going to go on his rant, I'm going to kind of just get up and start walking away to go to bed.
Okay, and he doesn't even realize you've walked away from him. He's kind of just polishing the glass, and he's steadily going. So as you walk away, Sarah will, she approaches both of you. Says, Mr. Wolf, will you be staying here tonight?
If the invitation's still good.
Well, usually it's 10 copper a night, but more private dealings can be had. And she kind of gives you a wink, but she looks to Seamus. And where might you be staying, Master Seamus?
Do I see their interaction together, like their wink and stuff?
Oh yes, yeah. They're not very good at hiding anything, and you've been present for their entire exchange all day long.
I thought I could stay with you guys. You know, why not?
I shake my head and I'm like, no.
And Sarah will look to Seamus. He goes, sorry, Master Seamus, but it's a very small room. Humble, but small.
Sure. I mean, I can curl up into a little ball. Hi, Marius. I hope I saved you in the woods.
Hi,
this is how you pay me.
I bought you an ale for it. And
at this point, Helga comes rounding the corner in all her glory.
Yeah.
The top 3 or 4 laces in her bodice are open completely. I mean, her cleavage is about to just spill out, and she comes walking up to. I mean, and she's well over a foot shorter than you, Seamus. She comes walking up to you, snatches you by the hand, looks at Sarah and just gives her a scowl and says, "This one's mine," and starts dragging you up the stairs.
Oh, fuck.
Start waving.
Are you gonna resist?
I'm not going to. I'm just going to let it happen.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Let it happen. Sarah Helga starts dragging you upstairs. She's very forceful. Drags you upstairs, and some of the soldiers are they kind of chuckle to themselves and funny thing, Seamus, you get upstairs and it's the second room on the left, past where the bath was. You enter into the room and there's holes in the floor because this is the room right above where the bar is, and there's 2 or 3 large holes in the floor, It doesn't look like they go through the ceiling, but there's holes there, and it looks like a rug has been kind of pushed over them. But don't know how much sound dampening that's going to do. And she kind of grabs you by the hand and leads you inside and closes the door. At the same time, Sarah does. You follow shortly behind. Sarah brings you up and to the right, a few rooms past where you see Seamus kind of get pulled into, and it looks like he's being led very forcefully. Whereas Sarah is just graciously not even tugging at you or anything. You're just following her along, and you retire into your respected abodes. Is there anything you guys would like to do?
Nope.
No, I don't think so. No, I think. Well, I probably try to talk to Sarah about the man with the pick. I guess a little bit more in depth.
Okay.
Kind of bring it up to her. So at some point during the evening,
Okay. Well, once you get into her private room, she'll pull you in, and you know the layout of the room. It's the same as it's been since the last time you've been here. There's a nice mirror in the corner, and she looks like she's got a good set of chest of drawers and a nice bed. It looks like an end table. Not a very large room. She wasn't lying about that, but it's a decent room. And she begins to start undressing, and she starts talking to you as she is undressing. Are you going to help?
Probably.
Yes, I like it. Okay.
But yeah.
So you start unlacing. You start unlacing the back, and as you're talking, so go ahead and just lead in.
Okay. I know I talked about it a little bit earlier, but you never really told me who that man was to you that you gave the pick to. Was he a brother, husband, father?
And she kind of stiffens up a little bit, and she, Marius, we've known each other for a short time, but I did not give him anything. He had that made himself. He was a friend of my father's, and before his passing, my father gave me him to me.
Gave you to him?
Yes, said that I needed a keeper. I needed a man. I have not seen him since. He left to go do some kind of errands for the mine. This was a year or two ago. He wasn't a harsh man, but I would not consider him my husband, but I would not at the same time consider him a stranger. I'm saddened by his passing, but our marriage was never... And then she just kind of leaves it at that.
Sorry to have brought it up. It's just a little curious.
She does have a little bit of a tear kind of goes down the cheek.
Ooh, I wipe that tear off with one hand.
Oh, okay. As soon as you do that, as soon as you do that, she turns around, pushes you onto the bed, and we fade to black.
Hell yeah!
And we are actually going to take our break right there.